Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. And today I am bringing my mid-year book freakout tag. It's something that goes around BookTube every year, and I'm super excited to finally do it this year. Last year I started my BookTube journey in August, so it was a little too late for the mid-year freakout tag. And guess what? I'm going to be putting this up in August because circumstances I made this list in mid-June and I was so ready to post it in July, and then life happens. So we're going to talk about it now. The first question is, what is the best book of the year so far? And for me, I'm going to have 2 to 3 answers for each of these because why not? If push came to shove, I would say that this is my best book of the year so far, and that is Where You Can Find Me by Sherry Joseph. This is about a boy, Caleb, who is kidnapped at the age of 11, and then he gets found and returned to his family at 14. We follow his journey being integrated into his family and dealing with this trauma and how his family deals with this trauma, but also this miracle of having him back. His mom moves them to Costa Rica to stay with his paternal grandmother because the media and the following of him being returned is just so huge. They escape, they get away, and so it's them navigating a new culture, and the beauty and the symbolism and the symmetry of this family moving to a foreign place and trying to integrate and live in this foreign place kind of mirrors his journey of being in his family is a foreign place. So it's just so fascinating. It's so beautifully written. The character work in here is stunning. The tension as the plot progresses just gets bigger and better, and I literally felt sick reading part of this just because the tension was so high and I was so worried for these characters, and I was reading it at work and I had to just stop reading it because I was at work and I couldn't get through the day feeling that way and thinking about this book. So I had to just stop reading it until I got home, and then I finished it. Absolutely phenomenal. And I don't know if this is even in print anymore, but I'm sure the ebook is still available. It was exactly what I wanted it to be when I read the plot synopsis, and also so much better. That's why it is one of the best books of the year so far. And then the second one, I still think about this book, and that is Ashford Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a romance between 2 women, and I still think about this book and how happy I was reading it and how the character work is so nice. I think that's the thing that I am gravitating more towards as my reading tastes evolve and maybe even become more discerning, is I really love good character work, especially in a romance where the characters are the plot. And in every book it should be that way. The characters drive the plot. But when you've got big world-ending events, the plot and the characters work together. But a romance, it's all character all the time, baby. And Astrid's journey of not wanting to be a failure and living up to her mother's expectations and being a perfectionist, and then her meeting Jordan, who is grieving and feels like a failure and is just it was just wonderful. The romantic comedy aspect was sweet. Their relationship evolving was sweet. The slight subterfuge of them dating while also filming this home renovation show, everything about it hit the way I wanted it to hit. It was cute, it was funny, it was romantic and spicy and sexy and gorgeous and wonderfully written. That's why it is one of the best books I've read of the year so far. So then the next question is the best sequel so far. My initial instinct, I wanted to say, yes, the best sequel I've read this year is No Parm, No Foul by Linda Riley, because I have been reading this cozy mystery series about a woman named Carly who opens a grilled cheese shop in her hometown in Vermont. And then, in each book, she finds a dead body at a certain point and then tries to solve the mystery, gets embroiled in whatever is happening. And this was just so fun. It was set around Halloween and spooky time, and I think I read it in February or March. And so it wasn't spooky time, but it made me really happy and it made me want it to be fall. And I just think the vibes in this series are so good. And this is what kicked off, well, this and the first one kicked off my love of cozy mysteries and like me buying this whole stack of cozies. And I just really enjoyed this sequel. The third question is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. And I've got 3 answers for this because one answer is not enough. So the first one is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This came out in February and I keep meaning to read it. It's on my list of like most anticipated new releases I want to read when they came out, and I just haven't been able to get to it. So this is kind of a folklore mythological tale about a woman who makes her husband promise that he won't ask about her past, and then someone in her family is sickly or passed away and they have to go visit her family and kind of deal with this, and he learns about her past. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I'm sure it's beautifully written. I trust Roshani Chokshi's writing. And it's not very long. I just haven't been able to make the time for it. Maybe in the next month or so, I don't know. But this is a new release that I haven't read yet, but I want to. The next one is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Paulston. This came out in June, and I have been highly anticipating it because her first adult romance last year, The Dead Romantics, didn't really work for me, but this has time travel. I love time travel, so I'm hoping that this works. And this is about Clementine, who has been left an apartment from her beloved aunt, and supposedly this apartment has kind of a time slip, and she meets a man from 7 years in the past, and they kind of co-inhabit, but not really because there's time jumps and weirdness. So he's not always there when she's there. They fall in love, but this time slip thing, I don't know how it's going to be resolved. So it sounds magical and cute and lovely, and I've heard really good things about this, but I also heard really good things about The Dead Romantic, so I don't know. Very scared. And then the last one, I actually didn't realize this was coming out, and I just bought it and I am reading it. My bookmark's in it, and that is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. This is Chuck Tingle's traditional pub debut. It is a horror book about a gay conversion camp and this girl who maybe starts to have feelings for another girl, and in her super religious community that's unacceptable. So I'm like 10 pages in, but I love Chuck Tingle. I think he's phenomenal. We stan. I've been following him on Twitter and Tumblr for years, so I'm so excited to finally read a traditionally published book from him. The question is most anticipated release for the second half. I have 3 answers because one isn't good enough, okay? So my first most anticipated is Cleat Cute by Meryl Wilsner. I have loved every book by Meryl Wilsner I've read so far. There are 2 of them. I've loved them both. And this is soccer lesbians, adult romance. What more do I need to say? Okay, my second most anticipated is Tastes Like Shakar by Nisha Sharma. This is a companion sequel to Dating Dr. Dill, which some people didn't like. I really loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was sweet. I liked both the characters. So I'm very excited for the sequel to that, which follows the best friend from that first book. Gotta mention my girl Katie Robert. Hunt on Dark Waters sounds amazing. It's got pirates, it's got magic, it's got kidnapping ? And I just hope it's really good, and I'm excited for it. And the cover looks beautiful. So now we're gonna get into biggest disappointments of the year so far. I think my biggest disappointment is probably If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich. This is a YA romance about 2 boy band members who have to keep their romance quiet because management doesn't want them to come out and their fans don't know, and it's a bummer. It's a big old bummer. It's sad. No one's looking out for these boys. They're just on their own dealing with heavy issues like eating disorders and drug use and being closeted. And then there are all these miscommunications, which I hate. I felt bad for the characters, but there was just so much shit happening, and it was unhinged. And the way it was marketed, the way all of the reviews sounded, they were like, oh my god, such a sweet, swoony boy man romance. And it was not sweet, and it was not swoony. It was miscommunications, and it was angsty, and it was dark, and they had to hide, and just, I was so upset by this book, especially because the characters like are afraid of their fans in some way, which like I get. When you're a big boy band like that, like I'm thinking of Taylor Swift and how many stalkers she's had and people breaking into her house, and I get that when you achieve that level of fame, people become a lot scarier because like they just do, because people be cray. But at the same time, like in a fictional world, in a book, do you want to make people feel bad for being fans? You know, like that's kind of what it made me feel. It made me feel like the fans are part of the problem, even though in the end, like the fans help, I'll just say that. But the whole first like 3/4, it makes you feel like these boys like don't want to be in this band. They don't care. They're not happy. And it feels like as a fan, when you love a band and you want them to keep making music, I don't know, it just felt gross. Like that the boys in the band felt the way that these boys felt. They didn't want to do it. They were really unhappy with their management. They didn't want to be making this kind of music, or they didn't want to be doing these kind of dances. But the fans are like going wild for it. If I as a fan knew that my favorite people didn't even want to be in this band, then I really wouldn't want them to be in that band either. And so it just felt really gross. You know, just overall, it gave me gross feelings. It didn't make me feel good. It wasn't romantic. Like, just, I hated it. I hated reading it. I ranted about it to my coworkers. Like, I should have DNF'd it, but I was reading it for research because I'm writing a book that follows a boy band. And, like, now I know what not to do. Like, don't make fans feel bad for liking a boy band. End rant on that. Another big bummer is Prince Lestat by Anne Rice. And I kind of knew, but this is my sweet boy. So, big disappointment, big bummer, Prince Lestat. I love The Vampire Lestat, the second book in the series. Interview with the Vampire is okay. I think Louis is a whiny little bitch. But I like books like 1 through 4 in the Vampire Chronicles, and then 5 is kind of okay, and then from 6 onward they get boring, they go off the rails. I don't like the characters. Like, it just gets messy and insane. Like, I do not like Armand. I will fight people. Armand is a piece of shit. Anyway, this book is almost like a sequel to the third book in the series, Queen of the Damned. So you'd think if I like book 3, I would like this. And I knew going into it that people were saying it's not good. It follows multiple points of view across the globe, all these vampires that we've met in previous books. And there are some vampires that are in like a sister series, like Pandora and the Telemasca, and like all these different things that is bringing together like all of her series, like the Mayfair Witches and the Vampire Chronicles and the like vampire. There was like a spin-off series about other vampires but wasn't part of the Vampire Chronicles. Like, it gets messy. The other thing I didn't care for about this book was I feel like some of the characters like didn't feel like the characters anymore. Like, Lestat doesn't feel Lestat enough in some way. I feel like this book lost me really early on because there's a moment where these two like very scientific, very smart vampires want to like experiment on Lestat, and he says, sure, you can take some of my blood and test it. And then they say, oh, we have this like injection to make you like feel like a man, because Anne Rice's vampires are like sexless. Like, they're dead, so those organs don't work, if you know what I mean. But they're like, oh, we have this injection so we can make your organs work, and you can have sex with a woman for the first time in forever. And he's like, oh yeah, let's try that. And then guess what? She gets pregnant, and he has a kid that he doesn't know about for years and years and years. And this kid is like raised by these other vampires. And that whole thing really felt gross to me. Not only that Lestat was, I don't know, dumb enough to not think about that, or that it almost felt like they were trying to do it on purpose and get that result and then raise this kid. And it just felt weird. The whole thing felt weird and icky, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like the ending, and I'm not going to read the last one. I'm not going to read Prince Lestat and the Realm of Atlantis or whatever it is. I'm tempted just to like finish the series, but I know it's not going to be good. Like, I know it's not going to be good. If this one wasn't good, why would that one be good? My biggest surprise of the year, I actually do only have one answer for this, and that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I'd heard like mediocre things about it. It is a YA, like gothic romance with a murder mystery element. And I just heard that people didn't really care for it and that it was maybe sort of juvenile, which I kind of get. But I just enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed the murder mystery element. I enjoyed the romance with, you know, death personified. The images in this were really lovely. There are some really beautiful moments and images that have stuck with me since I've read it. And so I was really surprised at how much I loved this. I pre-ordered the sequel, and I'm gonna have to check out Adeline Grace's other work because this was really enjoyable to me. For new favorite author, I think it's actually going to be Ashley Winstead. And I'm holding up the boyfriend candidate, but I actually haven't read either of her romances. I did read both of her thrillers, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Last Housewife. And I really liked both of those. I need to buy the paperbacks. And I think at least her thrillers are really interesting. They're politically charged, I would say. And so I'm excited to read her romances and see how those characters are built, because I feel like the characters in her thrillers are built super well and super interesting. I don't really get fictional crushes anymore. But this question is newest fictional crush, and I guess I would say both Astrid Parker and Jordan Everwood are new fictional crushes. I think both of these characters are sweet and funny, and just I would want to hang out with them. And then for newest favorite character, I might actually say Zachary Ying from Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Zirin J. Zhao. This is a fun middle grade story about a boy who gets kind of possessed by the Dragon Emperor, the first emperor of China, and then they go on an adventure. It's a bit reminiscent of like a Percy Jackson type story, except it's talking about history more than mythology, but you know, history and myth kind of converge at a certain point because we don't know what's real anymore. And it has a lot of like video game allusions and metaphors to talk about ancient China and also like the way that this mythological like possession thing works. It was very fun. I think Zachary Ying is a great character. He is smart, but also like has a lot of self-doubt at the beginning and wants to do the right thing and cares about people. And I just think he's a sweetheart. And so he's one of my new favorite characters. Can't wait to read the rest of this series. And my other favorite character, new favorite character, would be Carly Hale of the Up to No Gouda, No Parm, No Foul, like grilled cheese shop mysteries. I think she is really relatable as like a mid to early 30s woman starting a business and living alone, and like the way that her life it's just cozy. She makes friends and she solves murder and she eats grilled cheese, and she's one of my new favorite characters. A book that made you cry. I do only have one answer for this one, and that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This is not only a book that made me cry, but this is a book that made me cry a lot. Like a lot. Like almost sobbing. Like the whole last, 100 pages, just crying. And you know what's really funny? We're going to take a detour for a second. I read this at the beginning of June, and I was filming a vlog about grief because I had a friend who passed away in 2021, and you know, we were like long distance friends, so that grief was weird and difficult to deal with. And you know, I thought, well, why not let's make a vlog about it, because there were two books that I bought while I was grieving that I thought would help, but I wasn't ready to read. And then here at the end of June, I lost a family member, and so that grief vlog is never going to go up because the grief that I felt for that friend, it is real grief, but like it's nothing compared to losing someone a lot closer to you. So like, yeah, you're never going to see that, but this book made me cry. But I also do think it helped. Having read it before this thing happened was really nice, and I'm glad I had read it beforehand because reading it after would be tough. And then on to happy things, a book that made me happy, that would be Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. It's a like fantasy, kind of taking on the Rumpelstiltskin myth about turning things into gold. And the character work, once again, was just phenomenal. The ice fae kind of myth, they're called the Staric. The like kingdoms and the plot as it went along, just everything about this was wonderful. So this follows 3 women and how their fates intertwine. Miriam is the daughter of moneylenders, and she takes over for her father on this business because he's very kind-hearted, and her family is struggling because people aren't paying them back, and she takes it upon herself to collect those debts, and then they become disliked. And this is a very Jewish book. This is a very interrogating the way Jewish people have been treated and viewed, but make it fantasy. So it was so interesting and so wonderful, and the characters were so multifaceted. I just loved it, and I knew I was gonna love it. I put off reading this for a long time, but it made me so happy when I finally did read it. And then the other book that made me happy is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. This is an adult romance, and it was just so sweet. The audiobook was really great, but it was just so sweet and nice. The conflicts that kept this romance from happening until the last, couple pages of the book, they all made so much sense, and they were rooted in the characters' like personal issues with intimacy and trust, but they never were like a real miscommunication trope. It made me so happy. So this is about Lily and Nick, and Lily reaches out to her favorite author one day, and then her favorite author writes back, and they kind of start this email correspondence, and they get really close, and then he just ghosts. And then Lily and Nick become neighbors. He moves into the building she's living in, and Nick is the author who ghosted her, and they meet in person, and he knows that Lily is Lily, but she doesn't know that he's the email correspondent. And it's very You've Got Mail. The way the conflict happened, it worked. Every part of this worked for me. The next question is a favorite adaptation. I haven't watched a lot of TV, or I feel like I haven't watched a lot of movies this year either. I don't know if there have been any adaptations that I have watched. So I'm gonna say that it might be Red, White, and Royal Blue, which comes out August 11th, but I don't really know. But I will be watching that. So the next question is favorite post or video that you've made so far this year. And for this, I think my favorite video or videos that I've made this year are actually my Fangirls Guide series. So the first one was the Fangirls Guide to Sarah Addison Allen, and then I did one about Casey McQuiston. And I plan to do more of these. There are favorite authors that I have that I thought I'd read more of their books, and then I have to go find their backlist because I really do want to give an overview of every full-length book that they've written. So it takes a lot of research, and if I haven't read the books, it takes some time. So I do plan to make more of those videos, but I really enjoy making them. I really enjoy talking about them. I really enjoy comparing an author's body of work to maybe get more information about the themes that they consistently play with. So some future authors I want to do are Ashley Poston, because the only book that is out that I haven't read from her is The 7-Year Slip, but she has like 2 more books coming out this year. So if I don't get on it, I'm going to be way behind. And then another one is Julie Murphy. I think there are like 2 books of hers that I haven't read yet that I need to. And then she has another book coming out in like November. So once again, if I don't catch up, I'm even more behind. And I would really like to do one about Goldie Moldavsky. It's been a while since I read her books, her like first 2 books, but I have her other 2, and she has another one I think she also has a book coming out this year. So I really want to do more of those, but I'm time limited because the longer I wait, the more books come out, and then I have to read those, and then I wait, and then another book comes out, and I get behind. The most beautiful book I have bought this year, I've bought a lot of books. These are all books I've bought this year. But I think the most beautiful one I've bought is Wolf Song by TJ Klune. This special, it's not really a special edition, but it kind of is. This Barnes & Noble exclusive reprint is just so beautiful. I think that the colors, the foil, just everything about it. And then the inside illustrations. There's a wolf under the cover. Like, I just think this is a beautiful edition of the book, and I have not read it yet. And in fact, I bought the original version a couple years ago, but I hadn't read it. So now I have the beautiful Barnes & Noble edition. I cannot wait to read this, but I think this is the most beautiful book I've bought this year. And I have pre-ordered the sequel, which is also lovely. And I'm going to pre-order the third one when they have their next pre-order sale. And then the fourth one, they haven't announced a print version of it. They only have it available as an ebook. But I'm sure the other ones are doing well, so they'll do a print version of the fourth one. So when that's announced, I'm going to pre-order that too. So then I'll have the whole series in this beautiful edition. And I feel like the Waterstones one maybe had sprayed edges as well. Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, and then the last question is must read by the end of the year. What are some books I must read by the end of the year? Boy, I have so many answers for this, because if I'm talking about making those Fangirls Guide videos, I have Julie Murphy books and Ashley Poston books and Goldie Moldavsky books that I need to read. But I also have a couple specific answers. So the first thing is Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe by Heather Weber. This is the last book that I have to read on my 5-star predictions, my past 5-star predictions video, before I can film an update, give all my final answers if they were 5 stars, and make a new 5-star prediction. So I just have to read this, and then I can do all that, and that's 2 videos that I can make. But I just haven't done it, and so I have to do it by the end of the year. I really wanted to do it by June, but clearly that didn't happen. And then if we're talking about end of the year goals, there are a lot of books that I wanted to read the sequel to and finish out the series that I have not done yet. And that is this entire stack. I feel like I have not read any sequels this year. So I am currently reading A Gathering of Shadows, which is the second book in this series. So then I can read the third and be done. I need to read Vengeful. I need to read these 2, finish out that trilogy. Vicious Spirits, it's been on my TBR for 3 years. I read the first one a billion years ago, and I just need to read this. It's a duology. I haven't been able to do it. And then the Cruel Prince series I need to finish. I liked the first one and I just haven't done it. And then this as well. This is a duology. I just have to read the second book. Just do it. These 2 blue books, I just need to read them and I haven't done it. So these are the books that I need to read by the end of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm going to try. So that was my mid-year book freakout tag. It really did feel like a book freakout because there are a lot of books that I still need to read, a lot of books that I have strong feelings on. So thank you for watching. And, if you like this video, you could click that like button, or you could subscribe and see if I do end up reading all these series. But really, you can do whatever you want. And I'll see you next time.